Trapped indoors, never fear. That's why we're here to entertain the masses with nothing to do, bored as shit. Thank God the alternative has returned. We are back, Colin, and quite frankly, the world's gone to shit. The show hasn't, thank God. We are still here. What's going on, man? I'd ask how you've been. We're all kind of in the same fucking boat with that. So, where can everyone catch you on Twitter? The Jacket. I hope it's still holding up well. It hasn't gotten sick in these tough times. How you doing, man?
Just like the Jacket, I'm currently unemployed, back living in Bakersfield, where I am currently sitting in my house and drinking and playing The Sims, because that's all I can fucking do anymore at this point, because the coronavirus has effectively swept the nation and has taken over. But yeah, never fear, we're back. I mean, we're here to kill people's hours, you know, like some people before bed are just like, I'm gonna listen to something, but you know, what's an hour long? The alternative. We're always here for you, man.
I figure, you know, AEW, NXT, WWE, lots of indie shows this weekend have performed in front of a bunch of people. I'm sorry, in front of no people. Total opposite of what I meant. They performed in front of no audience. Everybody knows that. And nobody's used to that more than us, so we're right at home with that. So there you go.
I was going to say, we sit here and talk to each other and scream at people that aren't even here. So, I mean, all these wrestlers got to catch up to us. We're pros at this point.
That's keyword catch up. We're going to try to do that. We missed about 2 weeks of Dynamite. Not a standard rundown review, just another good old catch up episode. Before we do, follow me on Twitter at the Hibiki TMD, the official Hibiki TMD merch store, unionsmack.bigcartel.com. I promise the official alternative shirt is coming this year in 2020. More goodness, Major League podcasts of their own. Thank you to Richard Holiday, MLW star, for coming on that show. All kinds of big things happening for the channel, and man, this feels right. It feels like is the dark days around us. This is the shining little beacon of light this show. And I'm glad to be back doing this with you to talk some AE dubs.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wasn't sure how an empty arena Dynamite would go, and you know, I'm gonna admit it. Like I thought this was one of the most entertaining Dynamites I've watched.
I'm going to put it out there first and foremost and throw myself under the bus, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I put out the tweet. The bias is still, it gets worse and worse every week. WWE crucified for even attempting to run a show in front of no people. AEW praised. And when I put that tweet out, this is before I saw any match happen. This is strictly going off of the announcement that Dynamite would follow suit and perform in front of no audience. And the people just came out in droves. The same people that crucified the Big E for doing the same thing. You praise AEW, and it was just, my God, the bias. And a lot of people took it as, you know, AEW did do the better show. WWE had the misfortune of being the guinea pigs in this and what not to do. And I feel like AEW was smart enough, and shout out to them for doing what they could to make it entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, and it was a good episode to watch too. I mean, we had 2 debuts, and I mean, give them all the shit you want that they were both former WWE guys. Everyone comes from someplace. 99% of the wrestlers in WWE came from a different promotion before they got there. So, I mean, you can shit on them all you want, but I mean, this was a good episode. This is a good episode to run. This is a good episode to watch.
At first, I thought I was watching an old TakeOver pay-per-view at the very beginning of this. It just started out with Cody in a dark arena with a little spotlight, making an announcement like Triple H used to do.
See, one of the things I liked about this is the fact that, you know, on Monday Night Raw the last week when they had Stone Cold there, you know, I've had people who don't watch wrestling send me this clip because they think it's the most hilarious thing ever. Where Stone Cold's in the ring and he's just like, something, give me a hell yeah. And then he just sits there like an idiot. No one's in the audience to say hell yeah.
Yeah.
And like they try and pretend like it's not happening. Meanwhile, AEW at the beginning of the show is just like, hey, no one's fucking here and we realize this is weird, but we're still going to put on the best show we can.
I think WWE kind of poked fun at themselves, though, because it was only Byron that said it the next time he asked for a hell yeah, and then they're off to the races they went.
Yeah.
But there were other, especially, it was so funny when the Street Profits, this didn't air on Raw, but the after with the Street Profits, which I'm sure you saw where, you know, Montez got the stunner. You know how when the Street Profits are getting in the ring, they do that little pause and they look back into the crowd. Montez did that at first, but Dawkins is already in the ring. He's like, come on, man, there's no crowd. It's like he forgot. It was because...
I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, most wrestlers, when they start out, they at least wrestle in front of 2 people, maybe 3, 10 if they're lucky. But that's still not nothing. And so now when they're actually, looking out into the crowd and not a single fucking person is there, it's got to be one of those things where it's like you're so used to doing this thing and then you can't anymore, but you keep ghost doing it and stuff like that.
People are trying. There's so much happening in the world right now. I don't feel like people are truly processing what's going on in wrestling. This is unprecedented, especially at WrestleMania time. 36 years it took for something to fuck up WrestleMania.
I was gonna say, it's always been. I mean, they've done shows where, Owen Hart fucking died in the ring and they kept running with the show. Like, a man died in the middle of the ring from one of the most arbitrary stunts that was ever going to be pulled off, and they kept the show going. And now it's like, WrestleMania of all things, it's one of those things where it's like, it's never going to, stop. It's not, nothing can stop it. And we finally found the thing that'll stop it. And I mean, it's going to be weird. And I mean, WrestleMania is now a 2-night event. The card is cut in half from what it probably was going to be. It's definitely an unprecedented time in wrestling because nothing like this has ever happened.
Nope. I mean, just that's sports. That's everything right now, really. Yeah,
I mean, all the sports have shut down.
XFL not even finishing its season. They're done.
They'll come back. I mean, I know they'll come back for another season when, this whole thing is over, God willing it ever fucking does at this point. But, I mean, it does gotta kind of suck to, everyone was, when Vince McMahon announced the XFL and, they were saying they're not even going to get through the first season. And, now, even if it goes on for another 20 seasons and it becomes the NFL's TNA or ROH or New Japan or whatever the fuck, they're still going to say first season back still got cut in half.
Yeah, exactly. Karma came a-calling for Vince on that one, for sure.
Right.
I feel like AEW did a much better job at humanizing the situation, especially at this little speech at the beginning, than WWE did at all. WWE, and credit to them, because you don't want to dwell on reality. That's why we're here, entertainment. But I feel like a little sprinkling in of, just reality would be nice. WWE really did none of that unless it was like Michael Cole, talking to you. Just talking about how Cody's saying how small this really makes us all feel. And he was so right. I mean, this $1 billion company forced to, at the, everybody's got to answer to somebody is what I took from that.
Yeah, no, exactly. And like I said, that's what I liked about it. I mean, we had, I'm sure you saw, but I was talking to an old pal of my wrestling podcast days, one Mr. Shady C. And he had said, why is WWE being shit on for it, but AEW is being praised? And, my simple answer was the fact is you can call me biased all you want, and maybe I am, from this show or whatever, but I still think AEW did it better. I think, they humanized the situation. They didn't make us feel like we were stupid. They didn't try to pretend people were there. They didn't try to, do the show as if people were still there. They just, they made us see, they kind of made us feel like we were there, even though we weren't, and no one was.
And I agree. I don't think you're biased. I think you're honest. And I think that word biased gets thrown around a lot. When I throw it around, when I think of the word bias, that means when you watch AEW, you refuse to accept any flaws in this promotion. And we always call this company out on this show. So I don't think you're biased at all.
Yeah. And I mean, and one of the things that, AEW did that, WWE didn't was the fact that AEW had some of the lower card wrestlers or people who just weren't on the show in the audience as, that way, even though it was minuscule compared to obviously what would normally happen, there was still some sort of crowd noise. Whether they were told when to cheer, whatever, it still added, just a little bit more to the whole situation that made, it. And I put out a tweet it added way more to the show than I feel like people thought it would.
My only complaint with that, and I get it, this was a last-minute booking decision, spur of the moment. I would have taken MJF and given him his own skybox for that arrogant, true elitist. He's better than all heels and baby faces. That's what Shivani goes up there eventually and gets a word with him, but we just see shots of him up there with Cristal and Wardlow all night. That's what I would have done with him. It's a lot better than seeing him do shitty karaoke with Sammy Guevara, which isn't his character at all. It was like a frat boy party.
Right. I mean, we're all kind of going insane due to this whole thing, but I mean, I liked it only because, like, I liked the idea. I liked seeing. First of all, I just enjoyed seeing Shawn Spears used at all, let alone for this. But I just liked the idea, like, they were gambling on the matches, and then at the end of the interview, you know, MJF is yelling at Tony Schiavone for, like, how dare you say we were gambling? And then he lowers the mic and is like, you want in on this, old man? Like, what? And then Tony Schiavone was like, how much you got? Like, what's going on? And then they just faded to the ring. Like, I thought that was funny. Like, they were doing it because they wanted to just, you know, take our mind off things, and I think it worked.
Let's talk about something on this week's Dynamite. Like I said, we're not going in order, but I feel like this segment is getting outshined by the debut of Matt Hardy, Luke Harper, Brody Lee. The vignette, just whatever you want to call it, mini film on the Murder Hawk, Lance Archer, with Jake Roberts sitting in that chair, watching him destroy 30 guys, was tremendous. I loved it. And I'm sure you thought I would hate that, right?
I'm not sure why anyone would, to be honest with you. Like, I saw that and I'm like, this is perfect. Like, I mean, it shows Archer just beating the shit out of all these guys, and they were all pretty big guys too. And then you just see, you know, Jake the Snake kind of like in his throne, just watching his like protege work. So I mean, I love this.
It just makes me fucking wish, and there's no excuse, because this was the prime time when Jake Roberts was getting clean and on the true sober horse. Why couldn't he have done this with the fucking Wyatts in the WWE when they were still together? That would, with him sitting in the back of the compound just like this while they just massacre somebody. Him and Bray Wyatt are peanut butter and jelly. That's like father and son right there, storyline wise. You know, it writes itself.
If they introduced Jake the Snake as Lance Archer's dad, I wouldn't say no. I would be like, yeah, okay, I can buy this for now.
My only complaint since Jake Roberts' debut, because we haven't got a chance to talk about it, Colin, my only complaint, I just need to know more of why. Why do they want him? Not just because he's Caesar or the top dog, but really, why are they here in singling out Cody? Fair?
I mean, that's kind of what the wait's for, you know. We find out a little bit more each week, and eventually we'll find out, you know, was there something that made this, you know, come to fruition? Is it just going to be just some storyline to introduce Archer? You know, what's going to happen?
But once again, I feel like Jake Roberts hit a home run. Not as long as a promo, but still that ringside promo with Schiavone with Archer there. There's just more gold. My God. We just covered him on Promo Class, cheap plug on the channel. Jake Roberts is one of the truly greatest of all time on the mic in any era. You can say that now. Any era.
Absolutely. No, I agree. Jake Roberts is always, whenever you bring up the question like, oh, who's the best person to never win a title and stuff like that. Jake Roberts is always in the conversation for a number of reasons.
Let's get down to some in-ring action, Colin. I think we kicked off our first match this week was tag team action. The Best Friends taking on the Lucha Bros. Brandy Rhodes on commentary, by the way, breaking her promise, it's an inside joke. It's not that serious. Filling in for Justin Roberts. One more run in the sunset for Brandy on the ring announcing. She didn't do bad for what it's worth.
I mean, hey, I was here. The only thing I wish they would have. I mean, I know legally they can't. But the only thing I wish they would have done, I wish they would have just slid in an Eden Styles reference, because that was her ring name in WWE. If they would have done that, best fucking thing ever. But I did like it. I do like AEW's like little jokes they have above everyone's name card or something like that. Yeah. And hers was just like, she said she'd never do this again, but here the fuck she was doing it. And I think it works out. I mean, it's a good way. I mean, she has the experience ring announcing, obviously. It's a good way to, you know, keep Justin Roberts off of the road and still kind of have the, like, essential people there that they need to film the show. So I think that worked out pretty well.
It just bums me out still, because she is so unlikable that she's not on the arm of MJF right now, and they didn't do the big old, you know, the heel turn at Revolution. But that's whatever. We don't always get what we want. But I tell you, I get what I want every time I see the Lucha Brothers. Hands down, probably, in my opinion, maybe the best tag team in the entire world, bar none.
I mean, I'd have to think about who I'd put at that level, but I mean, the Lucha Brothers are definitely in consideration. I mean, this was a great match with Best Friends. I think it was a phenomenal time with them. Orange Cassidy got his stuff in, and like I said, they had the wrestlers at ringside reacting to everything. So I mean, it other than the obvious, it was essentially, it was essentially like a normal thing. Like, you didn't feel too strange about it.
How ingenious of a booking touch was that, by the way, to put Orange Cassidy on color commentary?
They're doing everything right with Orange Cassidy.
They really are.
I hope to God they never fuck it up.
This is like when Vince Russo was booking Steve Austin in '98. He could do no wrong. He was like Midas. That's what they're doing right now, in my opinion, your opinion, with Orange Cassidy. It's just all so good. And you can, buddy of mine, Yateman, on Twitter earlier, I think you and I have talked about this on an episode in the past. You can sometimes, literally, you don't even have to try to listen for it. You can hear the disdain in Jim Ross's voice when he has to put over something you can tell he hates.
Yeah.
It's so obvious. It's so obvious, especially when Excalibur's saying the King of Sloth style and Jim Ross has to sell that, and you can just hear the pukey tone to his voice. Or when he has to say the words Chucky T.
Right. Like, if it was Orange Cassidy, Sonny Kiss, and Joey Ryan in a match together, Jim Ross would combust into flames.
I might combust into flames. Why would you do that to me? Good God. I'm a fan of Sonny Kiss. He deserves better than that.
Fine, substitute him with a Nyla Rose, and you've got a deal.
We'll see you next week. Enjoy the Corona. No. Fine match. I mean, we've seen this before. I got to say, the nerves have settled in with a lot of the talent on AEW now. I mean, I'm sorry, it always helps when there's no crowd, but even, at Revolution, guys that you could see nerves in the first month or so. There's like the best friends work totally different now, I feel like, than they first did. The clunkiness is gone. They're used to being on the weekly TV nationally now. This is a great little match. I really enjoyed this match.
I wouldn't be surprised if the best friends were tag team champions in 1 to 2 years. I mean, granted, maybe in this time in the world, it's maybe not the best to predict anything, because, I mean, one of the things I feel like is worth mentioning is the fact that everything going on in the world could effectively kill AEW Dynamite, and it could, I'm scared to think what kind of ramifications this whole thing is going to have on the entire world of pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Dynamite is such a new show that I'm sure is, it's almost like they're living paycheck to paycheck. They're living, if they don't get enough revenue in the first year and stuff like that, then, they're not going to be there. And I mean, they have the contract until 2023, so we'll see what happens. But I mean, it'll be interesting to see, how long any of the wrestling shows can go with just putting on no audience shows before they just can't do that anymore.
In comparison, WWE is so solidified and dare I say, just so ingrained in Americana at this point and so mainstream. Yes, losing WrestleMania was a hell of a dent in the armor, but as opposed for AEW, this is like hitting a crucial vein almost.
Yeah, I mean, AEW is so new, so like it'll be interesting to see where it all goes. And that was kind of what was mentioned, in the opening promo, not to, run it back or anything, but I mean, in the opening promo, Cody said, I don't even know if there's going to be a Dynamite next week. And, that's a real possibility. By
the way, fearmonger much, Kenny Omega? He literally was, at the beginning of this, we just kind of glossed over that. Do you know what I'm talking about? When he was like, he was talking about, he doesn't even know if we'll be here now. Like, we're all going to die. Like, literally coming off like that.
I mean, honestly, with the way this shit's going, I wouldn't be surprised.
Jesus, Colin.
We're quickly turning into, like, the Earth is quickly turning into a bad remix of Mad Max and The Walking Dead.
Man. So give me a bad wrestling gimmick in history to cheer me up real quick. Max Moon. Fuck it. God. Yeah. Lucha, all right, this will cheer us up. Who did it better in the Venom attire, Pentagon Jr. or Prince Devitt?
Oh man, I think I gotta give it to Pentagon Jr.
I gotta agree because he went outside the box. He incorporated the mask into it, and yeah. Lucha's getting the win. Yeah, more of the same. I feel like the Jurassic Express is next in line. Just the It comes off that they're put over so much more on commentary than any other tag team, and I know that they put those tag teams. That speaks volumes.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, with the way the tag team division's working, I could see 3 different teams being next in line and winning the belts. And I mean, and we'll get to it in the show, but I mean, Dark Order is definitely going to be at a heightened spots now. The Jurassic Express with how well they're doing, and the Lucha Brothers, they could all win the belts next, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Man, as hard as I'm trying, the whole vibe of just this umbrella factor on the show in the world right now, I feel like I want to do a best of AEW show just because of we don't know.
Right. Which is such a shame. It's like, well, good. Less than 20 episodes in, and we're already ending the show because there is no show.
Plan B, 205 Live will still be there, I'm sure. No matter what, it's always still there.
205 Live will never die.
The Exalted One is here. Let's get into it. What the fuck is Brody Lee wearing? I'm sorry. I get it. It's not all about aesthetic, but why is he wearing a hefty bag with purple tape on it? What the fuck is that? I'm sorry.
His pants were a bit confusing. I was like, all right, I'll get used to it at some point. I'm sure it was definitely an interesting look, but I mean, the Exalted One's here. Not to suck my own dick or anything, but I called it. I've been saying for weeks it's gonna be Luke Harper, and wouldn't you know it? And it took me a second too, because when they were doing the promo where he was introducing himself, but he hadn't taken the hood off yet. And like you could hear the voice filter slowly fading out. I'm just like, fuck, I know that voice. Who is it? It's obviously not Matt Hardy or anything like people were expecting. And then he takes off the hood and it's Brody Lee. And I'm like, fuck, yes. I am so excited for Brody Lee to finally be back in a prominent spot on a pro wrestling show.
You're not the first out-of-touch old man to doubt me. What a line. What a salty fucking line.
Like I said, I'm excited for this because I mean I feel like a lot of people were, they were going with the obvious choice, which was going to be Matt Hardy, and I'm just like, I just don't think they were good. And I mean, obviously they, we'll talk about what the direction they went with Matt Hardy later in the show, but I mean, I'm really excited for Brody Lee's, debut. The only thing I didn't like about it is the fact that no one's fucking there. So, I mean, we'll never know, what the reaction would have been to Luke Harper for this big introduction.
I only worry a little bit. I know he just debuted that maybe he's always supposed to be an enforcer or a backdrop guy, because at the end of this segment, after they jump Daniels in the little video and they're all doing their little pledge thing and all the members standing there, I cannot help but not take my eyes off Evil Uno. There's just something about that guy that's more captivating still than Brody Lee to me.
I agree, but I think obviously I feel like when the Dark Order runs its course, there's definitely going to be some sort of animosity amongst the rankings of the Dark Order, and we'll probably end up getting a Brody Lee and Evil Uno type feud. But I mean, I'm excited to see what happens in between this and that happening. What does the Dark Order do? Where do they go and everything?
By the way, if you don't follow Evil Uno on Twitter, get on it.
He's fantastic.
And he didn't ask for unsolicited dick pics to whoever news site tried to leak that. Did you see that?
Ringside News is one of the most bullshit places to get your news from at this point. I mean, they let Brad Shepard write for them, so that's all you really need to know.
Boom.
That being said, I'll say this, and Travis, and really anyone listening to this, you pause now and go do this after, or just you're listening to the rest of the show and do it after. But I saw a tweet, and it had said, look up type in your Twitter name into Google, and then press the news button on Google, and it'll show you if your Twitter, a tweet from your Twitter or anything like that has ever been used or mentioned in an article. And I did that with mine, and I found, I think 6 or 7 different articles I'd been used in before. Not all of them were about wrestling. I noticed one thing, which was fun, and this is totally off topic. But
yeah, what show are we doing right now? Go ahead.
I'll bring it back in a second to Ringside News, which isn't even about AEW, but fuck it, like I said.
Well, I'm intrigued, but I'm just wondering what show we're doing. But yeah, I want to hear it.
I was used twice on sportskita.com, which isn't necessarily anything to brag about. But I was used as someone, like, they did this thing where it was like the 3 worst things about an episode of Raw or the 3 best things about it, or something like that.
God.
And on 2 different occasions, I was part of the worst section. Not saying my tweet was bad. They were just used my tweet as an example to point out something that was bad. One was about the 24/7 title, which I thought made a lot of sense. To be fair, given
was the third Baron Corbin?
No, the second one was it was a Jinder Mahal related tweet.
Well, yeah.
So I mean, close enough. But this really just goes, like I said, the story really had nothing to do with anything. But at the same time, this show is more or less just, hey, we're here and we're talking about wrestling, but fuck if we know what's going on. But they used it's
our show. Get the fuck over it, pretty much.
Exactly. As some of you may know, I am a diehard, lifelong fan of Zack Ryder. But I have a Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins tattoo of their podcast logo. And wouldn't you know it, Ringside News did a whole article about my tattoo, and I had no idea about it until I just looked my name up.
Wow. That's shitty.
Oh, it was a good article. It wasn't shitting on my tattoo.
Okay.
It was just saying, like, hey, this guy got a tattoo for Zack Ryder.
I got to tell you, man, I am completely mortified now to type my name in there and hit news. I am completely mortified to do that, but it's like, I got to do it. Now you got to do it.
Exactly. I think just curiosity will get to you.
I feel like it was time, though. Speaking of gotten to do it, I'm trying to tie the bow and tie it in. It was time to reveal the Exalted One. I feel like it was getting to Emelina territory. My God, they're lucky they got 3 months out of it in 2020 to begin with, the way people's attention spans are. So shout out to everyone for using that thing called patience for once. Yeah, I feel like it was the right time to do it. The circumstance, I get it, but like Colin said, and we were talking about, we don't know the future of this show now even. We don't know what the fuck's going to happen tomorrow. That's the state of the world. This is like some movie type shit right now. Insane happenings in the world. So Matt Hardy debuting in front of no fucking crowd. It sucks, but it is what the fuck it is. And I'm so sick of seeing people bitch about that today. Just like I'm sick of seeing them bitch about this. What do you want them to do? What fucking option would you like them to do? I just feel like, and it sucks too, but they got to get all these storylines in. Maybe this wasn't planned for. There's no way this all could have been hot shotted planned for this week, because they don't usually book like that.
Yeah, and I think they hotshot a lot of this because they realized, like, cool, there's probably not going to be a whole lot of people necessarily, itching to tune in live to see this show with absolutely no audience. Because, I mean, as much as we shit on the crowd sometimes, wrestling without people is really fucking weird to watch, and it's really strange. And, I mean, I felt weird, when we saw, and I'll explain it a bit with everything. The main event of the show was the Inner Circle versus the Elite. It was Jake Hager and Santana Ortiz versus, I believe it was Cody Rhodes, Matt
Elite.
Jackson, and Hangman Page, I think.
Hand wash.
And, yeah, and because I guess Nick Jackson's out with the flu, and I mean, it'd be such a weird coincidence, but I mean,
God. Don't do it.
We can't write it out as a possibility. If Nick Jackson has the coronavirus, that's fucking huge.
Maybe he got it from the garage door. It wasn't sanitary.
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, I don't think there's any major pro wrestler that's been like diagnosed with it yet or anything. But I mean, for a sport that travels as much as they do, I'm not going to be surprised if it comes out soon. I mean, I know they're monitoring Roman Reigns because I mean he's had cancer, so he has a compromised immune system, and he could get it very easily. So I mean, it's weird times we're living in. But anyways, main event.
I would hope if anyone they've been monitoring, it's been Adam Page for obvious reasons. But that's
yeah, that very good point. But yeah, this match was determined who'd get the advantage in Blood and Guts, AEW's version of War Games. The Inner Circle got the win, and then at the end, Cody, Matt, and Hangman were just like, hey, we don't give a shit, really, because we're still going to keep it even. And I'm going to be honest with you, when they had the drone fly in, I'm just like, what the fuck is this? What is? I don't know what's happening. And it took me way longer than it needed to be like, oh, wait, shit, that's Vanguard 1. And then it cut to, Matt Hardy in the fucking rafters like he was Sting in WCW, just, laughing and throwing out the delete thing. And it was just, I loved it, but it was also real fucking weird because, like, I felt as if even since no one was there, obviously there was no sound. But I feel like, if anything, they should have just piped in the biggest pop they could, even if it would have been, it would have been obvious it wasn't real, but it just felt weird. Like, that would have been such a huge pop.
Yeah.
Had, a crowd of people been there. And now it's like, we'll never know what that was like, what that would have been like.
Maybe that's the beauty of it, though. Just the use your imagination aspect of it.
Yeah.
Positives, guys. We're fucking trying our asses off. Patting ourselves on the back, Barry Horowitz style. No, I mean, and who could blame you? Because God knows we haven't seen Vanguard 1 or any of this shit in like 2 years. Just Jinko Pants Matt in a neck brace.
Just getting the shit kicked in by Randy Orton on the way out.
My God. First and foremost, before we get to Matt Hardy, any of that, of course, Sammy with the signs. Chris Jericho, I really spit my drink out this week a little bit when he said, Arn Anderson comes out with the clipboard, right? Arn Anderson came out and he goes, Chris Jericho goes, that's his Waffle House menu. I fucking lost it. I popped so hard.
I thought that was hilarious. I was laughing for sure.
Jericho just gold, but this was like 11 out of 10 Jericho. He was just on it this week. Top notch on color commentary. Shitting on Excalibur as always. The match was fine for what it was. I liked we got some Billy and Austin Gunn cam time there, mocking PNP a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, the Inner Circle is very entertaining on their own when there is an audience. And I mean, they managed to keep it entertaining even without an audience.
Who would have thought? Because I feel like it's pretty much everyone is in agreement when they first formed the Inner Circle. Everyone's like, really? I mean, these guys are all good on their own, but this group makes no sense. They've meshed so well. Who knew?
Yeah, like, honestly, they all, like, none of them seem out of place, at least anymore. They might have at the beginning, but I mean, right now, like, they all genuinely seem like they're friends and, like, they all belong in the same group together. And I mean, I didn't even know who the fuck Sammy Guevara was before AEW was a show and stuff like that. And I mean, you would have put him next to Chris Jericho, and I would have been like, why is this man here?
Yeah,
like,
really?
why is this fan in the ring?
The Panda guy? Really? That's who they picked?
Exactly.
No, but like on paper, just looking at this group, every guy's character or gimmick, what have you, everyone's completely different. It's just like all oil and water, but it just works somehow. So tip of the hat to them.
Absolutely.
Judas with no crowd. We talked about it. That was kind of the underlying joke with everyone going in. Oh, it's going to be Judas with no crowd. That's going to be fun. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, they made it work. Blah, blah. We talked about that. Jake Hager is officially the sweatiest wrestler I've ever seen. And I do like just spotlighting PNP more. I feel like out of anyone in the Inner Circle, PNP's gotten the less time to just get themselves over. And really good in-ring teamwork with these two showcased this week.
I agree. I mean, they've been a tag team for years, so I mean, it's no secret that they're they're one of the best tag teams, arguably as well. So I mean, it's no secret they're good. They meshed really well with Jake Hager. I think Jake Hager is also a guy who's, he's definitely not the same person he used to be in WWE.
Yeah.
And I mean, shit, they made that man heavyweight champion. So I mean, there's they could do a lot with Jake Hager now.
Oh yeah. The day can't come soon enough when it's PNP and the Lucha Brothers for the title. The matches those two teams would have.
It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, Inner Circle getting the win. Little shenanigans, but either way, Chris Jericho popping hard, the celebration, and more of that, the turmoil with Adam Page, which it's getting old. I got to be honest. Now it's starting to where are we going with this now? Do you agree, or are you still digging it?
With the whole Inner Circle versus Elite thing? Or?
No, with is Adam Page really with the Elite, or is he
Oh, this was the first week where I was like, okay, guys, you got to do something with this, because I at the beginning of the show when they they called Adam out and they were all just kind of in silence, just watching him walk out. It was such a weird thing going on. And then they were just like, Adam, are you in? This would have been a great time for them Adam to just walk in the ring and doesn't have to say anything. He could just keep sipping his drink. But then they could have been like, cool, we're together. And then he just turns around. And then they lose the match in the main event. It's like,
yeah.
I'm still willing to, I'm still interested in where this is going to go. But at some point, they do kind of have to figure out where they're going to go with this.
Excuse me. This is very late. That's the first I've ever yawned on a show in like 2 years. And fair to say, Adam Page is the only man that can pull off a Dixie Chick shirt.
Absolutely. Adam Page, arguably the sexiest man in AEW Dynamite. So, not a whole lot he couldn't pull off.
You got to, man, when Cody Rhodes wants to put a guy over in a promo, but this goes all the way back to the beginning of the episode. I'm sorry we missed it. He made Adam Page come off like Jesus Christ the way he put him over.
He wasn't wrong either. Cody says he thinks Adam Page is the best wrestler in AEW, and he's in that argument. You
go back all the way to episode 1 of this. He's always been top 3 in the equation. We talked about the face of this company and who could be the guy. When we always say it, exactly what Cody said. He's a hybrid. He's a heavyweight mixed with a high flyer. He's just everything. He's like Seth Rollins of AEW, except he comes off a screen better than Seth Rollins. I feel like.
I would buy Adam Page over Seth Rollins in most cases. So, yeah. I agree.
There's more of a believability factor, and I know it's cliche, and I know it's lame, but it is what it is, because at the end of the day, it's wrestling. It's his size, I feel like. He can play the
human being.
Yeah, he can play the shit kicker. He's just about as big as Lance Archer.
Which is weird to think about, but you're not wrong.
Yeah. What did you think of the main event overall and the Matt Hardy stuff? I'm sure you hated the Matt Hardy stuff. It was awful.
Terrible. I hate it. Why the fuck is Matt Hardy even there? No, I thought it was great. I liked it a lot. Main event itself, I'm going to be honest, I was kind of in and out of it just due to some other stuff I was dealing with everything going on in the world. I was surprised to see it end the way it did. I thought it had at least another 5 to 10 minutes to go, to be honest with you. But then I looked at the clock and I'm like, oh yeah, no, I guess that's it. In my head, I didn't say okay, cool, the Elite's winning. But in my head, I was surprised to see them lose in this case. I thought for sure they would get the advantage to this match.
Yeah, same. And it was revealed Matt Hardy afterwards. Blood and Guts is supposedly next week. We're going to pretend like it is. They are really stacking fucking next week. But you got 2 rings out there for, by the way, War Games. It's War Games. For War Games, you got a fucking lumberjack match. You got a parking lot tag team brawl. My God.
I was going to say, we didn't even talk about that, as the fact that Chucky T, of the Best Friends, challenged the Lucha Brothers to a straight parking lot brawl. Like it's an old fucking, Nintendo game for WWE. We haven't had a parking lot brawl in 14 years, and now we're just going to get one next. I got to hand it to AEW. Despite the fact that there's no fans, they are stacking these shows pretty high.
Was it Eddie Guerrero and John Cena, the last one that I can recall, just a straight-up parking lot match?
I was going to say, there have been times where it's been in a parking lot, but, never really advertised as a parking lot brawl.
Other than that, I just think WCW with Finlay and Regal and those parking lot matches. That's how rare these are. But yeah, they're going all in for next week.
Yeah.
I'm literally losing my mind, and it's only day 2 of my quarantine. So
I've been on quarantine since last fucking Friday, and I've been losing my fucking mind.
Man.
Granted, I was still at camp at that time, but I've been on quarantine since the 13th without a job and without doing anything, and I've just about lost my mind.
The only thing we really lost was we failed to mention the 4-way women's match. I like that it was more or less a vehicle to get that rocket on Sheeta for now. So I know you haven't seen her yet. I want to bring her up before we get out of here. I showed you a picture of her earlier. Abaddon. She's not officially signed, but she was on Dark this week. The scariest woman I've ever seen in my entire life.
I saw that, and yeah, that woman is terrifying.
Holy shit. I'm literally going to be afraid to go to bed tonight. That was, woof. Why is this not Liv Morgan right now? That's what she should be doing. Exactly that. This has been nothing but a fucking waste of time.
I think you throw some face paint on Liv Morgan and make her an absolutely psychotic bitch, and you've got yourself the next women's champion.
She could have ran interference and helped with Bray and Cena at Mania and whatever. I don't know. anything else than what this dominatrix porn star gimmick she's doing, whatever the fuck it is. I don't know.
I mean, I'm not necessarily complaining about her current gimmick.
Well, I mean,
based on the things she wears in her makeup, but I'm just saying.
The only downfall of Liv Morgan is when she speaks, and if you ever see her on Up, Up, Down, Down, it's like Cruella DeVille's talking. It's woof.
Xavier Woods hasn't told me to get his show's logo tattooed on him, so I haven't seen this. I don't watch Up, Up, Down, Down.
That's it for Dynamite. What do you grade this fanless episode?
I mean, all things considered, honestly, this, like I said, could be biased, could be anything. All things considered, I would say honestly an A-, maybe a B+, if you wanted to, really, mention the fact that there are no fans. But I think they worked with what they could, and they put on a really good show.
I'm gonna tell you right now, maybe I'm gonna floor you. Maybe it's the Cabin Fever setting. I'm gonna give the show a solid A. Baseline A. I feel like it did everything it needed to do for the circumstances it was given, and it went above and beyond and thought outside the box, which is something and the listeners know I can bitch and complain about almost every show I do, is that we're in the modern state of wrestling where nobody thinks outside the box anymore because everything's been done. This is the prime time right now where nothing's been done. This is all untapped, potential right now because like we said, the circumstances, this could be catastrophic. And they did it, man. And fucking NXT, it sucked. It was a clip show. Raw and SmackDown, they fucking sucked. I get it. They did what they had to do, but at the end of the day, AEW gave original content the entire show, and it was watchable content. It didn't just feel like we're watching main event for the sake of filling time because this ruined plans. No, it felt like it could have been Dynamite anyway.
And I know you're not, the kind of person who likes to bring up ratings and stuff like that, but
it was shit out of NXT.
It was considerable, the difference in the ratings this week. AEW almost cracked 1 million. They were less than 100,000 away from 1 million people watching their show this week.
This was the biggest gap ever.
NXT, I think, just barely cracked 500,000.
Yeah, this week's was the biggest gap ever, officially, in the ratings differential. And
it goes to show you, AEW put in that effort to still put on a show, and NXT just ran some old clips, and the rating shows you obviously which one the fans are going to care about and which ones they're going to watch.
WWE needs to learn this lesson, and I know I bitch about talking about ratings, but it's reality. It is what it is, because it could bite them in the ass potentially. They got to Vince and whoever is pulling these strings right now has got to stop pretending like it's '96 and you could just air taped highlight show on like Raw one week because of like a pet show or something they'd have to lay back. You can't do that anymore because of things like instantaneous accessibility with entertainment like YouTube and stuff. People's attention spans are at an all-time low. They always want new and original. People binge watch seasons of show like they're nothing. And that's
it's a strange time we're living in, honestly, at this point. And obviously, this is a wrestling show, but clearly it's impacted the world of wrestling. But they've been saying this. The U.S. is preparing for this to go for the next 18 months. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know how long wrestling can survive into. If there's nothing for 18 months, a lot of the wrestlers on the indies are going to, they're gonna have to get regular jobs. They're going to have to do something. Not a lot of them can survive on their own for 18 months doing fuck all. And I feel like that's the case for even the guys in AEW or WWE. You can only go so long before you're like, fuck, what do we do?
Exactly. Well, my friend, thank you for scaring the shit out of me at the end of this episode. No, I'm just kidding. I got to tell you, for just the scary circumstances, and yes, this goes beyond wrestling this week. And like we said, it's our show. Fuck you if you don't like what we're talking about, basically. For the shitty circumstances and just the rush job and the bookings of the shows this week, I got to say, this brought out some of the best material we've ever done. So there you have it.
We keep getting better and better, I think.
And eventually, someday, somebody will listen to us. Don't worry.
Well, it won't be Nyla Rose's wife, but someone.
No, it will not. It will not. She will not be doing any of our T-shirts.
No, I do not think we will get a sponsorship from them anytime soon.
Blew the deal. Well, until next time, Colin, where can everyone catch you and all that good stuff?
Oh, check me out on Twitter at UberTieGuy. You can watch my slow descent into madness.
Yeah. As always, you can follow mine on Twitter at the Hibiki TMD. My descent into madness. UnionSmack.BigCartel.com. Hey, go out in style. Why not? Get yourself an official Union Smack shirt. It's got a gas mask right on it. See, 2 for 1. 2 birds, 1 stone. I'm trying, guys. Get over there, get a shirt, get a book, all that goodness. ProWrestlingJournal.com. Thank you to Drew Orman and all the fantastic, eclectic, underrated writers over there. If it happened in a ring, they're your goddamn thing. Until next time, the alternative is in the books. Until then, see you then.